Josh was
said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Is he?
Oh, man. You look at Anthony Joshua. He looks like a superhero.
Eddie Hearn responding to this just confirms that this fight could actually happen.
In a recent podcast episode, Joe Rogan humorously speculated about Jake Paul's potential fight with Anthony Joshua in 2026. Rogan joked that Paul might be delaying the fight to have more time to bulk up, possibly using steroids, before facing the heavyweight champion.
That Dubois guy, though, holy man, the way he took out Anthony Joshua.
I know.
Yeah, Jake wants to fight Anthony Joshua now?
I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's.
Said he wants to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026.
And the haters online are like, yeah, do it.
Well, they're like, what about now?
Yeah.
They're like, what about fight him now? He's like, no, I want to wait till 2026. I'm like, okay.
To put on weight?
Put all the steroids, every steroid they have.
I would watch. Here's the thing. I would watch
venom. Oh, by the way,
scorpion venom.
Rollo reached out to me, John Rollo, my boy, and he sells this blue scorpion shit. He wants to get you some, Jordan.
I'll have some.
All right, I'll have him send you some.
I'll take
some
quadruple
too.
doses.
Yeah,
we'll see what happens. I'm gonna start slow. I want to find out if I get poisoned.
Yeah, just.
What the f*** are we doing? We're drinking venom from scorpions.
That is weird.
That's weird. He's got the dopest tattoos.
Interview to Joe Rogan has always been impressed by Anthony Joshua's physique and strength. He recently commented that Joshua looks like a superhero due to his muscular frame and immense power in the ring. Joshua's dedication to rigorous training and his athleticism set him apart from other fighters. His dominance in the heavyweight category has earned him widespread respect in the boxing world.
Like boxers today, if you look at like Anthony Joshua, who's the heavyweight champion of the world now.
Is he?
You look at him, yeah. He's a English fellow. He's a tank. I mean,
Is he?
Oh man, you look at Anthony Joshua. He looks like a superhero.
Do those guys have as much stamina as these guys do, though?
Oh yeah, they do
Oh,
today.
they did?
Yeah, because the conditioning methods that they have today are just so superior. They understand rest and recovery, and they monitor your heart rate, and they're monitoring lactic acid buildup. And
Jake Paul has already faced some legendary fighters in the boxing ring. But what if he decided to challenge someone in MMA? His bouts against former champions have drawn significant attention. But stepping into MMA would present a whole new challenge. There's even speculation that he might one day target Joe Rogan for a fight.
Now that things didn't work out in boxing for Jake Paul, who's he going to fight in MMA?
If he fought Joe Rogan, that'd be the greatest selling fight of all time.
Joe Rogan?
And that'd be a good fight. I think Rogan would beat him.
That's insane. You're crazy.
In MMA? Have you seen Joe's kicks?
Joe,
Bam! One to Jake's face, he's dead.
I've seen the spinning kicks, but Joe's like 70 years old now. He's like 3 feet shorter than Jake Paul. He's a blob.
One DMT trip right beforehand, he'll see every punch Jake's gonna throw.
No matter how many cold plunges or sauna trips Joe takes, he won't be prepared for a fight against Jake Paul.
For Jake Paul's approach has been to target iconic fighters, putting himself at the center of the combat sports world with his bold callouts.
I love that.
Well, it'd be cool just to be like, why does it have to be like, hey, I need to beat you at MMA? You are a kickboxer.
Right.
You are an MMA fighter. It's two different sports.
Right.
It's like,
Yeah, but it's like exciting to see. Like,
Yeah.
let's see what happens.
Yeah.
See if he could survive the first round in just pure Muay Thai.
Yeah.
No takedowns.
No, I think that clown show is that Jake Paul match. Such a clown show.
What are they doing?
Is he still fighting AD? Is that still going on?
Oh, that one. Yeah, I thought because he's got a PFL contract as
Oh,
well,
does he?
right?
Joe Rogan has recognized Jake Paul's knockout power, especially when he knocked out a former UFC champion with a single punch. Rogan noted that if Paul had started his career as a boxer rather than a YouTuber, people would have respected his knockout abilities more. However, Paul's past as an internet personality has led many to doubt his true boxing skills despite his successes.
If Jake Paul wasn't Jake Paul, if he wasn't this YouTube guy, who was just a boxer, and you see a boxer knock out the former UFC welterweight champion, not just the former, but one of the best ever, knock him out with one punch like that, you'd be like, oh man, have you seen this Jake Paul dude coming up? If he wasn't that big YouTube star, and you just saw him as a boxing contender, you'd be like, that dude's got dynamite in his hands.
Eddie Hearn has warned Jake Paul that if he wants to fight Anthony Joshua, he should be prepared for the challenge and ensure he has proper insurance. Joshua is a powerhouse, and stepping into the ring with him could be a dangerous move for anyone.
Eddie Hearn responding to Jake Paul's call out of Anthony Joshua by stating this. He states, Joshua would fight anyone, anytime, but warn Paul about the risk. If Jake Paul wants to step up and fight Anthony Joshua, he'll need the relevant insurance. And let me counterpunch. Eddie Hearn responding to this just confirms that this fight could actually happen. Because, Eddie pretty much, calls the shots. He makes the play. Anthony Joshua's interested. Now, Eddie Hearn is stating that he's interested. So that means, hey, why not wait? Why wait to 26? Why not this year in 25? And that means that he is very comfortable with putting Anthony Joshua in there with Jake Paul. And if I was Eddie Hearn, people, counterpunching this statement, I would too. Because this is, to me, again, like I've told you guys before, when Jake Paul called out Anthony Joshua, I think he overstepped himself.
Eddie Hearn has also questioned Jake Paul's decision to aim for a 2026 fight, instead of taking on Joshua sooner. Hearn believes that if Paul is serious about the bout, he should face Joshua this year. His confidence in the fight happening soon suggests that discussions may already be underway, and we could see the fight happen sooner than anticipated if both sides agree.
And Eddie being that confident by responding the way he did, why wait to next year? Let's do it now, or let's do it this year. That says a lot, man. That is saying a lot about Eddie Hearn. The confidence is there. He wants that fight because Jake Paul is better than people think he is. But can he beat AJ? No. Because one shot from AJ would put Jake Paul on a stretcher, on the gurney. And Eddie, he saw that. He saw it just like I did. Just like I think you guys know. I think Jake Paul is calling him out because he needs another big fight. And calling out Anthony Joshua is a good way to do it. He promised Canelo Alvarez, I promise you, you're going to need me. I promise you, my fight is going to be bigger than yours. Well, who is on that level?
Shannon Sharp doesn't think Jake Paul has any chance against Anthony Joshua. He emphasized that Joshua's size is just too much for Paul, clearly stating that Paul might be taking on more than he can handle. Joshua's size, strength, and experience make him a dangerous opponent, and many believe this fight could end poorly for Paul.
The elites. We talk about the elites at their craft. It's not going to happen. If I'm not mistaken, I think Jake fought the closest...
Tyson Fury, brother.
Tommy Paul, the closest person to... Actually, Tommy Fury. Tommy, if you want to challenge someone with the one loss you have. Take him out.
Despite the criticism, Teddy Atlas has commended Jake Paul for his commitment to improving as a fighter. Atlas acknowledged that Paul is genuinely working hard to become a better boxer and compete at a high level. Having seen many fighters rise and fall in the sport, Atlas recognizes the effort Paul is putting into his boxing journey.
But listen, I don't want to mock it. I know you're going to take me there. I don't want to mock it because anyone gets in the ring, I ain't mocking them. I'm not. And I have a lot of respect for Jake Paul, what he's done, and the way he's done it. He's trained hard to become the best fighter he can be, and he's a work in progress, and he's still working. He's still trying to be better.
Jake Paul has not only challenged Anthony Joshua, but has also claimed he could defeat Canelo Alvarez. This has sparked frustration among many boxing fans, as Canelo is widely regarded as one of the best pound-for-pound boxers in the world.
I want to fight Anthony Joshua exclusive because I know that I will beat Anthony Joshua's ass. I know I will beat.
Knocked out, right?
Yeah. He doesn't have a chin and he has no skill and he's stiff. And I love you, Anthony. We're friends. All this I want to fight you. I will beat Canelo.
Stop the tape now. I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. The thing I respect about Jake Paul is his strategic selection of opponent. The retired NBA player, the mixed martial artist who does not specialize in striking, and a almost approaching 60-year-old Mike Tyson. But Anthony Joshua's skills are 1,000 light years ahead of Jake Paul's. Anthony Joshua, Mr. 28 wins, 25 knockouts, 4 losses. Anthony Joshua has been in the ring with real fighters. His resume speaks for itself. I just have one thing to say. Jake Paul, you can't play boxing. Trust me, just stay in your lane.
A major factor in the potential fight is the significant weight difference between the two. Jake Paul reportedly weighed 200.2 pounds for his bout with Mike Tyson, while Anthony Joshua typically fights in the heavyweight range, between 252 and 255 pounds.
The real deal respond to me as I tweeted my thoughts about delusion, which again, I think is more about what Jake said about Anthony Joshua and what he'll do to him. That was the more delusional aspect of this. Amanda Serrano said, at Jake Paul is the truth. Funny, they say he's a fraud for wanting easy fights. Then he asked for the toughest fights ever and they say he's nuts. Listen, he was scheduled to fight Canelo, Gervonta, and now he's calling out Joshua. Come on, who else is doing this? Oh crap, on second thought, he is out of his freaking mind. You're right. That was more of just Amanda backing her guy, you know what I'm saying? The co-founder of MVP and someone that she really respects. And Gervonta Davis, and she's not the only one saying that. Dan Rafael said the same thing earlier that day or maybe yesterday. I can't believe that that's true or if that was really going to happen. Essentially, the idea being, had Gervonta Davis beat Lamont Roach, he was going to fight Jake Paul next. And this is why I say, like, it's delusional, but it's possible. Like, he almost had the Canelo fight, and think what you will about how that went down and how realistic that was going to be. I legit think it was probably close to happening. Now you're telling me there were discussions and potentially, signed to fight Gervonta Tank Davis. And again, I do believe the reason for that is Jake's massive size advantage. Again, that's like a 100-pound weight advantage. How would that even work?
Anthony Joshua has faced some of the most prominent names in boxing and has far more experience than Jake Paul. Joe Rogan has pointed this out when discussing a potential fight between them. Joshua has been in brutal battles with elite fighters, whereas Paul is still relatively new to the sport.
Paul's coming into his own, man. That's what that is. He's only like 27. That guy's fucking scary. He's dangerous. Going into that fight, it seems like he believed that he was just going to dominate him. He was so aggressive. He was just in the pocket constantly, just forcing Joshua to go to war. It was wild.
Everybody was like, look, to Joshua, I think you're done.
Right after he knocks out Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, you're back.
Yeah.
Flattened Francis Ngannou, and everyone's like, oh, Joshua's back. Look how good he looked.
Jake Paul has received criticism for carefully selecting his opponents, with many believing he only fights retired or less skilled fighters to improve his record. He recently faced Mike Tyson, who was 52 years old at the time, which led to accusations that Paul only picks fights he is likely to win. His choice of opponents has sparked debates on whether he is truly challenging himself. Joe Rogan commented on Paul's fight with Tyson, expressing relief that Tyson didn't get injured and acknowledging the hefty paycheck Tyson received from the fight.
Wasn't the Tyson-Jake fight, wasn't that amazing?
Yeah. It's amazing they got paid so much money for that.
25 million and 40 million?
I think 20 and 40. Yeah, I think that's what I'd heard. Which I'm happy Mike got the money, and I'm happy that he didn't get hurt. That was my fear, that it was going to be a real fight, and he was going to get hurt.
You've known him for a long time. I've known him for a long time.
I love that dude.
Me too.
And he was a, larger-than-life figure in my childhood.
Truly, me
when
too.
I was a kid, when he was the champ, it was like, people don't understand what a champ he was. He wasn't just the heavyweight champion of the world. He was an executioner.
Truly.
Every fight was just a matter of how long was it going to last.
Which fight it was that I went to go see a couple of fights. And I actually went to go see Julio Cesar Chavez fight.
Ooh.
And that's when I met Tyson in the green room. And I met, at the same time, Muhammad Ali in the green room.
Oh, wow.
That was a moment.
Wow.
As a boxing fan,
That's
that was
a
a
heavy
real
moment.
But I remember, and I don't know who it was, and I think it was a 90-second fight, and I went to go see this fight, and Tyson was fighting, and this guy was doing this stuff and he had this, he had built himself into confidence. And Mike came out afterwards. He was the first one, obviously. And Mike came out afterwards, and I watched his face. I didn't watch Mike. You would normally watch Mike because he's so charismatic and he's coming. You want to see what he's going to do. And I watched the guy's face, and I watched that confidence bleed from his face.
Rampage Jackson has criticized Jake Paul for avoiding true challenges, stating that he wouldn't fight Paul unless he was much older. This comment implies that Paul only targets aging or less threatening fighters, a criticism that has been frequently directed at his boxing career.
Jake Paul. No, but I'm never going to call out Jake Paul again because I saw Butterbean call him out and they looked pathetic. So I'm never going to call out Jake Paul. But I've called out Jake Paul and stuff like that. Everybody calling out Jake Paul. And Jake Paul. I'm not calling out Jake Paul. He won't fight me for another 10 years until I'm too old to get in there. I'm not. Everybody know that's a money fight and stuff like that. But fuck. But I don't give a fuck about him.
Just overall, your thoughts on his like opponent selection these last few fights?
He's smart. He's smart. Yeah.
Jake Paul hasn't only called out Anthony Joshua, but also claims he can defeat Canelo Alvarez. Many boxing fans find this assertion absurd since Canelo is one of the most skilled and experienced boxers in the world. Despite the skepticism, Paul's confidence remains unwavering.
Who's the person that if you fight, you're like, I can't believe I'm in the ring with this person, and like, let's fucking go?
I think Canelo. We're the two biggest names in the sport and two biggest pay-per-view draws in the sport. I think it would just shut the internet down, and I know I can win. So
you could beat Canelo.
Yes.
Paul has expressed that he plans to fight Anthony Joshua in 2026 to gain more experience and build up his weight. However, Eddie Hearn believes Paul should fight Joshua this year if he's serious. Jake Paul fired back at Hearn, calling him two-faced, claiming Hearn acts friendly on camera but is different behind the scenes. This marks another chapter in Paul's contentious relationship with promoters, showcasing his outspoken nature.
And of course, Eddie Hearn is already preparing his excuse.
Dude, he's preparing it.
Yeah, that's what he does. He's a weasel. He's a snake. Snake guy right there.
What do you mean he's a weasel?
Man, I don't even know where to begin with him, but he's very two-faced. You know, I think off camera, he's like on your side, like, man, you do, well, I love what you're doing actually, and like, I really respect it, and blah, 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 and you're gonna take this a long way. And then the cameras come on, and he's like, you're not that good, da da da, saying all.
So he's
this
selling.
Stuff.
He's
It's
selling.
like a backhand. It's like a backhanded compliment.
Yeah.
Or a backhanded diss. Like the way he words it and shit. He's like, oh, you're average. Well, average isn't that bad. Well, Eddie, what if I called your wife average? You know what I'm saying? Like,
despite the controversy surrounding him, Jake Paul has been successful as a boxing promoter, drawing attention to the sport and creating opportunities for other fighters. His ability to market himself and his events has made him one of the most talked about names in boxing. Jake has also shown interest in fighting Gervonta Tank Davis, but Davis dismissed the idea, laughing it off and referring to Paul as a clown, suggesting he doesn't take him seriously as a boxer.
How about Jake? What do you think of Jake?
Clown.
Yeah.
He's a clown.
Would you look at it as a joke if someone, if your team was like, yo, we want you to fight Jake Paul? Would you be like, come on, man?
I'd laugh at him. Like, you want me to fight him?
You think it'll ever come to the point where you're going to mix into, I mean, you're obviously doing the real shit, but will it ever mix into the point where the money's big enough?
Yeah, would
for
you ever
to
do a
take-
fight like that?
I feel as though in my career, I can't do that right now.
Even though he previously rejected the idea of fighting Jake Paul, Tank Davis has recently shown some interest in facing him. This might be another reason why Paul is postponing his fight with Joshua, as he could be aiming to fight Davis first.
Who were you going to call out? What was the plan originally?
I think he was here. He came in my locker room.
Shakur Stevenson?
He wasn't in my locker room.
Jake Paul?
Next question.
Man, god damn, that's not the Trevante I know.
Floyd Mayweather has commented that Jake Paul is skilled at making money, but is more focused on entertainment than serious boxing. While Mayweather acknowledges Paul's financial success, he doesn't consider him an elite-level boxer.
You get out of that bubble to make somebody a real boxer.
I mean, what he's doing is, I mean, kind of cool. If he can continue to steal money and they match him the way they match him, I can't knock his hustle. So if they can match him the way how they've been matching him, more power to him.
Champ, we appreciate your time.
Yeah.
No, we got to give, Nick, put the camera on PT. Yo, PT, man, we appreciate you. Thanks, P, for making this happen. P and Rilla, we appreciate the money team all the time, man. We got, so one time before we go, Floyd, because I'm coming over to the palace. What's in the ceiling? So the fans know what's in the ceiling?
Oh, Chihuly?
Chihuly. Yo, Floyd, thank you so much. We appreciate you, champ. We coming over to the palace soon, man.
All right, let's do it.
Got you, man. Thank you.
Jake Paul has even challenged Floyd Mayweather to a fight, but Mayweather has made it clear he would only consider fighting Paul under proper boxing conditions. He emphasized that making money doesn't automatically place Paul among top-level fighters.
Paul to fight.
Is he someone you're interested in or no?
Well, you know, if you go back, you got to do your homework, look on the internet. I think he was doing a sit down on a podcast one time, and he talked about it. He said, I don't want to do an exhibition against Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
He said, I'm only doing real fights. Now, of course, I can't get up high in weight, but I'll fight him in a real fight at the weight that I'm at. But Jake Paul, I mean, as of right now, for what he's doing, it's good for what he's doing. But once he fights a real fighter, it's going to be bad.
Have you been impressed?
But one thing I like about him, one thing I do like about him, he's selling it. He's selling it, and he's making good money, and he's entertaining. I like it.
Is he? And Floyd, there are many people who believe you're the most talented fighter ever. Period. So whatever you say to this question, I think is important. Are you impressed? Does he have boxing ability, or is he just an entertainer who has a lot of fans and can promote a fight and has fought lesser opponents, or is he actually talented?
As long as he continues to fight MMA guys and YouTubers, he's gonna continue to look good and shine.
That wraps up today's video. Stay tuned for more, and see you next time.